So in this video, we're gonna be talking about the top 5 things I love about Colorado Springs and the top 5 things I can't stand about living here next. Welcome back. Mark Davis here with eXp Realty. Now, I'm a licensed realtor and I live right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And on this channel, we're gonna be talking about what it's truly like living in Colorado Springs with reviews, tutorials, behind the scenes content for all things real estate and housing related. So if that kind of thing interests you, please like and subscribe. Click that bell notification button so you never miss out when we drop a new video. And also, if you're thinking about moving to Colorado Springs or the surrounding areas, please give us a call. Don't be shy. We get calls from clients all over the country and we absolutely love it. So reach out, give us a shout, shoot us a text, send us an email, DM us, whatever works best for you. We got your back when moving to the Springs. All right, so if I'm keeping it real about Colorado Springs, I absolutely love living here, but it's not all cupcakes and candy corn. So in this video, I'm giving you my top 5 things I love about the Springs and my top 5 things I can't stand about here. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So the thing about Colorado Springs is there is so much to do here. When my wife and I first moved back here in 2014, we noticed right away that there is a ton of active outdoor lifestyle things that you can do right here in Colorado Springs. It has a ton of stuff to offer. I mean, once you get settled in here, you will realize right away exactly how much there is to do here. If you like shopping, then you can spend your money at some of the best indoor, outdoor shopping malls and shopping centers you'll find anywhere in Colorado. We've got them spread out really all across the city, and there's so many options for you to choose from the high-end shops at the Promenade where Apple Computer and Pottery Barn are, to one of the largest sporting goods stores in the country in Shields, where they have every name brand you can possibly think of, from Nike and Under Armour to Garmin and North Face. They even have an actual Ferris wheel inside of the store. Hello. If you're into hunting and fishing, then we have Bass Pro Shops just off of I-25 and Northgate Boulevard. We've got Overdrive Raceway, the indoor go-kart track, the newly opened Top Golf, both off of Voyager Parkway and I-25. There's bowling alleys at the Summit at Interquest Parkway with restaurants and bars in them, some complete with patios and playscapes and parks for the kids and the whole family. Or if you're into more of a slower pace, then I definitely recommend you checking out at least one of a half a dozen really cool museums that we have here in the Springs. From the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, the only one of its kind in the country. I believe Arnold Schwarzenegger was recently seen visiting there.
No problemo.
And then there's my personal favorite, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Sports Museum, dedicated to American Olympic and Paralympic athletes and inspired by the Guggenheim. This one really speaks to me with its modern architecture and clean minimalist design and that balance between form and function. But what it really represents is even more impressive, in that it was designed so that guests of all abilities can see all the exhibitions without any limitations. Now, if you're more into outdoorsy stuff, then don't worry, we got you covered there too. Coloradans are typically a fit bunch. If you're out of shape or you don't like working out, you won't make very many friends here, pal. Of course, we have the mountain ski towns, places that you've likely heard of before, like Aspen and Telluride and Vail. And then there's also the smaller ones that you might not have ever heard of before, like Breckenridge and Steamboat Springs and Silverton, Arapahoe, Copper, Crested Butte, Keystone, Powderhorn, and on. Now, at the time of filming this, Colorado has the 3rd most ski resorts in the country at 31. And there's also the well-known and beloved epic Manitou Incline that rises nearly 2,000 feet in less than a mile. It definitely helps you climatize. It's kind of tough though, depending on your fitness level, but it's been successfully completed by people from all walks of life and is a fan favorite here in the Springs. Now, if you're not quite ready to carve up a mountain or hit a 14er, but you still like hanging out with the kids, then there's tons of options here in the Springs, from moderate outdoor stuff that most of the time is free and you can have a great time doing. I also recommend that you check out some awesome walking and biking trails that we have here in Colorado Springs, like the Santa Fe Biking Trail or the Cottonwood Creek Trail system. That's one of the ones that I run whenever I get a chance, whenever I feel like I need to do that run. Whenever the weather's good, I try to get out there and knock that out. We also have great open gathering spaces for entertainment, hosting parties, or just to take the kids out and let them run around, like John Venezia Park in Briargate on the northern side of the city, where Union Boulevard intersects with Briargate Parkway. There's also Acacia Park in the heart of downtown Colorado Springs, where you'll find people relaxing in the park or just kids outside playing in the water feature in the summertime. This summer, my family and I spent a few Saturday afternoons exploring America the Beautiful Park, just east of I-25 between Colorado Avenue and West Cimarron Street. With its huge grass lawn and rotating water feature, we had a blast just hanging out, relaxing, and soaking in that Colorado sunshine. Or if you have older kids, there's Memorial Park on the southeast side of downtown, complete with a skate park, indoor ice rink, and its own lake located right in the middle of it. And that's where many of the hot air balloon festivals have been held in the past. Now, I'm not gonna lie, my wife and I love to eat, and the Colorado Springs food scene out here is crazy. We have just about every kind of restaurant and cuisine that you can possibly imagine, from pizza and burgers like White Pie or the Skirted Heifer downtown, to more upscale restaurants like the Melting Pot, a fondue restaurant, or the Steakhouse at Flying Horse, where my wife and I have a gift card to, and we're definitely gonna be hitting that place up soon for date night. Hey! Now, out of all the states in Colorado, we have the third most sunshine. Seriously, we get 300 days of sunshine here.
On my shoulders makes me happy.
Which is crazy. That's like Hawaii. Whereas 71% of the days here are sunny. In case you were wondering, Nevada and Arizona claim the #1 and #2 spots. Which, BT dubs, is the reason why Colorado is considered by many to be the happiest and healthiest state in the country.
Not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Sure, it snows a lot here, but it's totally normal to have freezing cold blizzard temperatures followed up by clear skies and sunshine all in the same afternoon. If you ask the locals here, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. But all in all, folks here tend to have a positive outlook on life and a greater sense of well-being suited for the outdoors lifestyle. With natural mineral springs, clean mountain air, and an abundance of sunshine, General William J. Palmer, an American civil engineer, veteran of the Civil War, industrialist, and philanthropist, founded the city of Colorado Springs in 1871 after seeing the area's potential and natural beauty as a high desert oasis at the base of the Pikes Peak and Front Range Mountains. The scenery even inspired the famous poem America the Beautiful. You know, amber waves of grain and purple mountains majesty, that's here. Which brings me to con number 4, climate and altitude. I went my entire life without dealing with higher elevations until I moved up here to Colorado Springs. And here in Colorado Springs, being above sea level, being a mile above sea level, the oxygen is just thinner here. So altitude sickness is a real thing. You might feel a little bit lightheaded if you overexert yourself or feel a shortness of breath, especially if you're doing long hiking or biking excursions. The air here is very dry, very thin, so you might find yourself taking big gulps of it, especially if you're doing something strenuous. But you get used to it, and once you climatize, and most people do that just within a very short amount of time once they get here.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
Even my 5-year-old gets random nosebleeds from the dry, thin air here, especially when the weather changes or the seasons do. What I use in my solution is I keep stocked up on cough drops almost year round. I'm not sure where my infatuation with cough drops came from, but I just like putting cough drops in my mouth whenever I get a chance. So you're gonna see me with cough drops constantly. I have them by my nightstand at my house. I have them here at the office. I have them pretty much in my pockets all the time. I probably go through 50 cough drops a month. Don't judge me. Now making our way to pro number 3 of the 5 best things about Colorado Springs has got to be our local economy. There's so much opportunity for someone who wants to move here and either start their career here or maybe move up with a job promotion or just basically just getting a completely different change of pace or starting all over again. There are so many drivers here that bring a lot of security and stability to the job scene here. Colorado Springs is home to Peterson Air Force Base, Schriever Air Force Base, Fort Carson, as well as the Air Force Academy and NORAD, which has helped push annualized growth within the city. The military employs 1/5 of the workforce here, while infusing nearly $6 billion into our local economy every year. And nearly every major defense contractor has a presence here in Colorado Springs, including Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Honeywell, General Dynamics, L3, and Raytheon. And with Colorado Springs being so centrally located, it makes the Springs a perfect location for software development, semiconductor manufacturing, data centers, and telecommunications. This really makes the high-tech scene here in Colorado Springs second to none. Tourism industry is also huge here, with an average gross income from tourism of almost $1 billion annually. Major draws to Colorado Springs include Pikes Peak, over 6 million annual visitors, Garden of the Gods, over 2 million annual visitors, and the world-renowned Broadmoor Hotel. Colorado Springs is also home to the U.S. Olympic Committee headquarters, Olympic Training Center, and over 24 national governing bodies, including USA Hockey, USA Swimming, the U.S. Figure Skating Association, USA Boxing, and U.S. Basketball. Even Amazon has opened up its largest fulfillment center right here in Colorado Springs off the Powers Corridor with over 70,000 square feet of space, servicing a massive fleet of Amazon Prime delivery vehicles. Even though we've seen a lot of job growth in the area in the past, that brings me to con number 3, which is infrastructure. Colorado Springs has always been considered the little brother to our neighbor to the north, the Denver metro area. But with almost 750,000 people living here and the surrounding areas at the time of filming this, it's expected to explode in the coming years, and the roads and infrastructure have just not been able to catch up and keep in line with the demand that we put on them. I feel like as long as I can remember, just about every major road or intersection is being redesigned, widened, revamped, or a roundabout being dropped in the middle of a neighborhood, with new stretches of road being laid every day and the construction of new on and off ramps. Honestly though, Colorado Springs has been under construction at some level for a very long time with all the job growth that we're experiencing here. I mean, I remember when the Powers Corridor teed at Woodman, and that was crazy. Now it will be going all the way through the Flying Horse neighborhood and intersect with I-25. So that project is going to be in the works for a while. But again, it's infrastructure that we need, and we're going to be a better city when we come out on the other side. But for the rest of the city, if you're not in a huge rush, which usually is in the mornings, I would say from 6:30 a.m. to 8 in the mornings, or if you're looking in the evening time, it's usually from about 4:30 to 6:30. You can usually get from one side of the city to the other in like 15-20 minutes. Now, one thing you really want to think about when you're moving here is the neighborhoods and just the way that Colorado Springs has built out its neighborhoods. We've got some really big neighborhoods and master plan communities. You just have to kind of be mindful of how many entrances and exits there are, and like how many ways that you can get in and out of a neighborhood. I've seen some communities that have literally hundreds and hundreds of homes in them, and there's virtually like one way in or out. So if you're in the middle of a rush hour or you're trying to get to work on time, getting out of your neighborhood might be an ordeal. And if it's upwards of 30 minutes to get to the highway, that might make you late for work.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So Pro 2 is one of my favorite things to talk about, which is the people that live in Colorado Springs. Now, this city has some of the coolest, most laid back, family-oriented, community vibe people that you're gonna find anywhere in the country. People here are very accepting, friendly, hardworking, with a dash of grit in them. People here will give you the shirt or Henley off their back and help out their neighbors in need. I've seen it. And if you account for all the people moving here or moving back here or having spent considerable amount of time here with the military presence that we've got here, tourism that brings millions of people here every single year, and just the growth that we've seen in our economy over the years, what you end up with is you just get people here, they move to the city, they love it so much that they don't want to leave. I mean, that's why we moved here. People that are here are so nice, so accepting, and there's really a different vibe here from other major cities. As being as big as it is, it still has a small town vibe, a close-knit community feel. That's just something that you don't find in most major cities these days. And that brings me to con number 2. Colorado Springs, I love you, but some people here, the way that people dress, I mean, I'm becoming more and more guilty of this too. It's called casual. People here dress very casually. Now, I'm not gonna say that it's sloppy or dirty, but people tend to lean more towards functionality and comfort here rather than style or the latest trends. So you don't really see a lot of people walking around here wearing suits or ties or dress clothes. And if you do, you're like, are they going to a funeral? Same thing with the ladies, not gonna see a ton of dresses, but more like yoga pants. I mean, I hear that they're really comfortable. My wife loves them, she swears by them, she's a big fan, and she wears them all the time, so who am I to complain? I mean, I'm not the foremost expert on style by any stretch of the imagination. I work a lot, so I don't really have a whole lot of time to be out buying clothes, and I really just don't care for walking around in huge stores all the time. I'm always asking my wife, next time you buy the boys something at Target, find my size and throw it in the cart, but she never does. Come on, babe. My boys though, now they have the wardrobe. I wish I could take their little baby clothes and blow them up to adult sizes. I'd be good. But just shy of rocking the camo look here, I mean, people here, they try to get the concept of dressing things up or down, which makes sense. I mean, I see guys that'll wear like a sport coat or jacket and then just some jeans and decent shoes. Me personally, I like Nikes a lot, so I wear those Nike Dunks or Jordans whenever I can. But these days, I'm really leaning more towards just a good North Face jacket that's comfortable and warm. So I guess the main point here is that you have to learn to layer.
Yeah, a base layer, your first layer, a mid layer, or like a fleece, something like I'm wearing right now, and an insulating layer, which is going to help like trapping your body temperature. On top of that, you also have your outer layer, your hard shell, which is going to keep you dry. The point of that outer layer is to protect you from the elements.
Because you're going to look out the window, it's going to be perfectly sunny weather, and you're going to think, oh, it's nice. No. Or it might be snowing, so you put on a wool sweater and a North Face parka, and again, no. You're gonna end up finding people walking around with board shorts and flip-flops and wondering why you're dressed up like a Eskimo.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
So just learn to layer. It goes a long way here. And that brings us to pro number one. The best thing about living in Colorado Springs, Colorado, has got to be what you get for your money when you live here. I mean, Colorado Springs consistently receives high rankings and praise, such as the best big city and best places to live by Money Magazine, the #1 outside magazine list of America's best cities, and #2 on the US News list of most desirable cities, the best city for a work-life balance, and #7 on emerging international destination according to TripAdvisor. And we're always in the top 10 best cities to live in the country by just about everyone from Zillow and Realtor.com to the US News and World Report. So when you compare what most cities look like throughout the country, mid or even large size, then we're sitting at about 70% of what it costs to live in the coastal cities on both the East Coast and the West Coast. And that just translates into a ton of savings for everybody that lives here. And people here just find that they can afford to have a really nice lifestyle here, especially if they're moving from one of the coasts like East Coast or the West Coast, or even other parts of the country. They get here and they realize that their money really goes a long way here in Colorado Springs. So with that being said, there's also a reason why people love living here so much. And that also means that the housing market here is extremely competitive. It's been described as a seller's market, so competing with multiple buyers, especially in the spring and summer months, is not uncommon here. It's also not unusual to submit multiple offers or even write over asking on an offer to stand out from the large buyer pool here that you're competing with. Also, in some cases, you even need to include appraisal gap insurance for certain homes in certain desired areas of the city. So part of the conversation my team and I have with new clients when they move to Colorado Springs is affordability, where you want to live, and what you want out of your next home. Now, if you really want to dig deep into what it costs to live in Colorado Springs, then check out the video that I did on the cost of living here. It's really going to break down on a granular level everything that you need to know and consider when living in Colorado Springs. And again, my team and I, we get calls from clients all over the country, people just like you who are thinking about moving to the Colorado Springs area or surrounding areas. Please give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, DM us. However you want to get a hold of us is totally cool. We can go ahead and sit down, schedule a Zoom call, and answer all your questions. All right, everybody, that is going to about wrap up this video. I hope that you've enjoyed this and found some value from it. Also, if you want to check out more about what Colorado Springs has to offer, or if you're curious to see what type of gear that I use when I shoot these videos, I've placed a ton of links down in the description below as a resource for you. Also, before you guys leave, do me a huge favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you never miss out when we drop a new video. And remember, my friends, stay creative. Mark out.